Hey guys, so in this video we are going to add some sound effects, and first one will be for attacking with different weapons and second one will be for hitting enemies. First thing that we need to do is let's go to anim notifies. We need to set up new one, so right click, blueprint class and search for notify, select anim notify, and this one will be play combat sound underscore an. Open it up. What we want to do here is set up the variable, and this one will be just combat sound, and type we can change to name. We'll make it instance editable as well, and then we compile and save. And then we need to set up function from in combat BPI, so we can actually tell player or enemy again to play sound. So let's do function, and this one will be play combat sound. We will need input, and this one will be name, and this one can be just combat sound. And the reason why we're doing the variable is because on this anim notify we can set up what sound we actually want to play, so we don't have to set up different animation notifies for different sounds. So while we're here, change this to combat category, compile it, and now go back to play combat sound. And what we want to do here is override receive notify, and when we receive this notify we're going to drag from meshcom, get owner, and this time we're going to get a combat component because we don't want to play separate sounds in the player and in the enemy. So get get component by class, just a single component. This one will be combat component, and we're going to call that function from combat BPI, which is play combat sound message. We need to connect this combat sound variable. Now compile it and save it, and now let's set it up on our combat montage. So let's go to blueprints or third person animations 200 and open 200 combo, and what we want to do is just set it up just a little bit before actual attack. And the reason is because right when the attack starts, he's already swinging the weapon, and the sound will actually start playing, you know. So when he swings the weapon, it will be at the correct position or at correct timing when the sound plays. So just before the attack, we're going to create new notify track, right click, add notify, and this one will be not play sound because that's the default one, but you have to select the sound on it. We're going to do custom one, which is play combat sound animation notify. Add it here again just before the attack. Right click, add notify, play combat sound. Again here, I'm just doing it 1 or 2 frames before the attack. Play combat sound. And here again just before the attack, add notify, play combat sound. And here on this combat sound we're going to call it, I don't know, weapon swoosh or weapon sound. Copy it so it's the same because this is the name, so we can actually select the variable like we have with enumerators. We need to name it the same thing. So this one will be weapon sound. Save it, and now we can go to combat component. So if you don't have it open, just open it up, and let's go to event graph. I need to clean this a little bit because it's getting messy, but I'm not going to do it now. Let's just find this function that we set up. So it is play combat sound, double click on it, and here we need to do switch on name, and I'll remove default pin add pin names, and this one I'll paste again weapon sound, so same name. And when that happens, we want to spawn sound 2D. We don't have to do location. And what we want to get is on each weapon we want to have a different sound, because each weapon looks different and should sound different as well. So what we're going to do is go back to blueprints, items, and here in the items open items BP, which is the parent class of all of our items, and here we want to set up variable which will be weapon sound, and this will be sound base. Object reference will make it instance editable. Actually, I don't think we need to. We don't have to make it instance editable, just compile and save. All of the children will inherit it, and now we can just set it up on all of the weapons. So let's say I do have a sword, which I can never actually find. So it's here, open it up, and here you got the weapon sound. If you open a full blueprint editor, you have it here on the side. So for sword, I do have the sound effects already. It took me quite a while to find the ones I want to use, but they sound like this. You can get them on my Patreon, or you can just find your own, but it's just weapon swooshing sound, not this one. So this one, and they are for different weapons, like different weight weapons, you know. Some of them are a little bit slower, so they are for 200. Some of them are a little bit faster. For sword, I'm going to use probably this fifth one. So I called it weapon whoosh. And the fifth one. And then I'm going to add it to 200 as well. So if I go to, where was I before? In blueprints, items, open 200 weapon club. Here I'm going to change it to, I think it was the second one. So let's see, swoosh or whoosh, what did I call it? Weapon whoosh. It's this one here. So you can see it's quite deep. So this will be weapon whoosh 3. And then I only have a third weapon. I don't have that many. So blueprints, items, and offhand you don't need to set up, because offhand doesn't need to play a different sound as well. We could play two different ones, but I don't think there is a need. They will just overlap. So only main hand weapons, and the last one is the iron axe. And for that one I'm going to do again weapon, not sure which one, I'm going to search for it. I think the first one is good, so I'll leave it. And now in combat BPI I'm going to close all this. We need combo just in case. Items BP, we can close. Iron sword we can close. This one we can close. And in combat, what you want to do is we spawn this sound, which will be main hand. We will get weapon sound. Since we do have a reference here in the combat component, we can just get its variables, and then from weapon sound we're going to play this. And here we want to change a few things. So we want to randomize the volume multiplier and pitch multiplier. So for volume multiplier, I'm going to do random float in range. And you want to do like 0.9 and 1.1. That way it won't always be the same. It will slightly randomize. And for pitch, we're going to do something similar, but we want to also base it on the attack speed, because the lower the pitch, the slower it actually goes. I don't know why it is made like that in Unreal Engine, but that's how it works. So if you have a faster pitch, it also plays a little bit faster, so it will look better on a faster weapon. So we can base it on attack speed. So what we need to do is get owner, then get component by class. We need to get stats component and get max stat, because that's where the attack speed is stored, and select attack speed. You know what we can do, because I'm tired of typing it and we'll be using this stats component quite often. So we can right click, collapse to macro, and this will be get max stat. And if you open it up, we will connect stat to input, and output will be the value. So now if I go back to event graph, here I can select stat that I need, which is attack speed, and we're going to do plus, or let's subtract first and then add, and I'll add 0.1 to this, or subtract 0.1 and add 0.1. So that means if our attack speed is 0.8, then the range will be 0.7 to 0.9 on the sound pitch. So it will go slower. If my attack speed is very fast, the pitch will be, I don't know, if I have attack speed 1.1, it will be between 1.1 and 1.2. So that should work quite nicely. And that is pretty much it. So now we should be able to play some sounds. Let's pick up some weapon. Going to do sword, for example. And when I'm swinging, you can hear I do have a sound. And it actually looks quite natural when you put it just before the attack. Right, and then when I change the weapon, so when I equip this one, I do have different sound. And I'm not sure if you can hear it very well, but they are always different because they always randomize. So that's quite nice. So now we want to add sound also when we hit this enemy. For that, I also have a sound, which is a flash hit. It will be included in the pack on the Patreon. So probably want to look for something similar as well, which is this one. So I quite like that. It works well with the movement that we set up and rotation. It actually feels like you attacking quite strongly and everything and hitting an enemy and actually slashing him open. So for that, we just need to set it up on the hit. One more thing I actually wanted to change before we move from the weapon sounds. If you have different ones like I do, what you want to do is lower the sound volume on it, because they will be overlapping sometimes with different sounds for, like, I don't know, spells or grunts and stuff like that later on, and you don't want to have the weapon whoosh quite loud. It doesn't sound very good. So what I'm going to do is select all of them, right click, asset actions. I'm going to edit selection in property matrix so I can select all of them, and then for sound I'm going to lower the volume to 0.6 and save. Okay, so they won't be as loud. And now let's do the flash hit. So in combat component, we need to set that up in the line trace, so when we actually hit the enemy. So we need to do it just after this validity. We don't want to do it on loop, because then we would hit enemy and play sound 4 times if we have different damage types. So let's move this back, and here we're going to just play sound. You can do sound at location, but then the problem with the location is if you have camera turned or something, it plays louder when you closer to that location, and or you move camera and it actually gets louder, so I don't really like it. I'm just going to play sound 2D, and this is going to be flash hit. Later on, if you have more of them than one, like more than one, you can also randomize it. This one actually we can do, since I only have one, we can do sound cue. So we can just right click, do sound cue, and this will be flash hit sound cue. I'll open it up, and here we can do modulator, which does exactly the same thing as I've set up here, this random floating range, because in the sound cue we can actually change this to like 0.9 and max pitch 1.1, and here 0.9 and 1.1, and it will randomize it for us. And then, as I said, if you have more than one sounds for flash hit, what you can do is add this random, and then here you can connect as many sounds as you like. So flash hit, and it will be just this one. I only have one, so I can right click and delete input, but you can have even 20 different ones, and you will just keep adding inputs like this. All right, and then it will pick one at random and also modulate it. So now, instead of the sound, I'll play this sound cue. So in combat component, I will play flash hit sound cue. And now, if I attack the enemy with my weapon, so I'll pick up, I don't know, a sword again. Alright, and you can hear I'm attacking the enemy. And the sounds are overlapping, so it sounds quite nice. But now, I don't know if you noticed, but on some of the attacks the whooshing sound is still there, and it doesn't sound very good, because if you hit the enemy, your sword is going to be slower as well, or your weapon in general, so you shouldn't really be playing that whooshing sound. And that's why we set it up just before the attack, because now what we can do is, when it's playing, we can get the reference to it, since it's spawn sound, so we can promote this return value to, I don't know, active weapon sound, and then we will get it just before this sound. So get it, and we will set is it set active? I think, yeah, set active. So move this a little bit back. We also need to right click and convert to validated get. I have to move all of this so we can squeeze it in. Connect is valid, and we will just turn it off. So new active needs to be false. Make sure you actually connect the is not valid as well to display sound, because if the sound for some reason is not playing, you won't actually hit the enemy. So you don't want to do that. Always connect is not valid as well. And now what happens is, when I attack without hitting target, I'll have a whooshing sound, but when I actually hit the enemy, you can only hear flash hit. Right. That sounds awesome. Alright, cool. So that is it for sounds. And in the next one, we'll just continue adding to this, and probably a little bit of camera shake. I'm not sure if I want to do it on attack or just on block. We'll see. Maybe a little camera shake and then do blood as well. And then later on, we will just add some basic functionality so this guy can like run around and also attack, so we can test out if it's working on enemy as well, and then we can fight. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.